Luka Doncic is a generational talent. A 6'7" point guard with insane vision, step-back threes, and the ability to take over any game. He's dragged a mediocre Mavericks team to playoff battles, dropped 40-point triple-doubles like it's nothing, and been in the MVP race year after year. And he's only 26. Guys like this don't come around often. And when you have one, you do whatever it takes to keep him. But then the unthinkable happened.
Massive breaking news in a CBS Sports HQ out of the association where the Los Angeles Lakers are trading for superstar Luka Doncic.
A generational talent gone. All because Nico Harrison thought the Mavs needed a fresh start. But here's the wild part. This isn't even the first time he fumbled a superstar. So who is Nico Harrison? Because before he was running an NBA team, he wasn't a scout, he wasn't a coach, he wasn't even in a front office. Nico was actually a shoe guy. In fact, he spent almost 2 decades there, working his way up the ladder, eventually becoming VP of North American basketball. Nico was the guy who knew how to talk to athletes. He was known for his laid-back yet persuasive style. He built relationships with some of the biggest names in the sport, like LeBron James, Kobe Bryant, Chris Paul, and many others. These players trusted him. He didn't just push products, he understood them, their needs, their brands. This skill made him one of Nike's most valuable assets. Players were comfortable with him because they knew he had their backs. And it's no surprise that Nike was one of the most powerful brands in basketball, with Nico behind the scenes. But in 2013, Nico was assigned to a crucial mission, re-signing Stephen Curry to Nike. It seemed like an easy job. After all, Curry was already wearing Nike and had been rocking with them since he was a teenager. He wore their shoes in high school. He wore them at Davidson when he was lighting up March Madness. And when he got drafted by the Warriors, he signed a small standard rookie with Nike. And back then, that made sense. Curry wasn't a sure thing, not even close. He had the skills, that quick release, the ball handling, the unlimited range. It was all there. For starters, he had serious ankle issues, the kind of injuries that could end a career before it even takes off. Then there was his frame. At barely 6'2" and 185 pounds, Steph didn't exactly strike fear into defenders. In an era full of high flyers and physical guards, he looked more like a solid role player than the next face of the league. And his personality? Quiet, reserved, soft-spoken. Steph wasn't the type to talk trash or make headlines off the court. He wasn't flashy like Al, intimidating like Kobe, or larger than life like LeBron. He was nice, the kind of guy who thanked reporters after interviews and kept his circle small. But by the time his rookie shoe deal was up, Curry had started to turn heads. He still had injury concerns, but he was cooking defenders, dropping 30-point nights, and showing flashes of greatness that couldn't be ignored. This was Nike's moment to lock in one of the most exciting young guards in the league. So, Curry's agent set up a meeting with Nike executives. Stephen brought his dad, Del Curry, a former NBA sharpshooter, and they expected a professional personal pitch. A moment that would make Steph feel like the guy. But when Curry and his dad walked in, something felt off. Then the Nike representative stood up and said, "We're excited to continue this journey with Stephen Curry." Yeah, Stephen. They butchered the name of the guy they were trying to sign right in front of him and his father. But it only got worse from there. When the PowerPoint presentation came up on the screen, the slide had Kevin Durant's name on it. Yeah, Nike had reused a PowerPoint deck and forgot to take out a Kevin Durant slide. And it didn't get better. There was no signature shoe offered, no bold campaign, no vision of how Steph would lead the next era of Nike basketball. They didn't promise him the world like they had with LeBron. They didn't map out his future like they had with Kobe. In fact, they only offered him $4 million per year, while guys like KD and LeBron were getting $30 annually. And if that wasn't enough, they added a clause at the bottom of the contract. We reserve the right to match any offer made by a competitor. They were basically saying, we don't really believe in you, but if someone else does, we might reconsider. That was the final straw.
Agency or whatever, like, do you bet on yourself? Like, what does that, do you bet on yourself? What does that mean, right?
Steph didn't need a company that only saw his value after someone else pointed it out. He wanted someone who believed in him from the jump. Steph was done. But now he needed to find a new shoe brand. Enter Under Armour. Back then, they weren't even in the same league as Nike or Adidas. They had no big-name NBA talents or even athletes in general. In fact, they were known for workout shirts, not signature sneakers. But they saw something in Steph no one else did. So they didn't just pitch him a contract. They pitched him a future. When Steph walked into the Under Armour meeting, the vibe was completely different. His name was pronounced right, his story was front and center, and they treated him like the guy. But best of all, they promised him his own shoe line, his own brand, creative input, a vision for Steph Curry as the face of Under Armour basketball. Under Armour was all in. They offered him ownership stakes, creative control, and something Nike never gave: respect. They let Steph shape the look, feel, and even the messaging behind his shoes. They even let him put the Bible verse, Philippians 4:13, "I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me," on every model of his signature shoes. It was a true partnership.
That part of my career, like building something from scratch, taking a chance to put my fingerprint on a brand from the ground up and have a company that was going to kind of invest behind me, that was a huge opportunity. And it was kind of going against the grain a little bit in terms of, at that time, the stable that Nike had.
But it was also a gamble, not just for Curry, but also for Under Armour. In an era ruled by athletic freaks and physical dominance, how was this 6'2" baby-faced skinny kid supposed to take over? Just 1 year after signing the shoe deal, everything started to click. In the 2014-2015 season, Curry averaged 23.8 points, 7.7 assists, and nearly 2 steals per game, while shooting 44% from three. He'd cross half court, and defenders were already sweating, because he might pull up right then and there. He could pull up from 30 feet, in transition, off one leg, and the wildest part, he'd make it time after time. Like, how can you possibly guard that? That same year, Curry put out his first shoe, the Curry Ones, and it sold out in just minutes. The Warriors went 67-15 that season, the best in the league. Curry won his first MVP, and then he backed it up by leading Golden State to their first championship in 40 years. But Steph wasn't done, not even close. Just a year later, he averaged 30.1 points per game, shot 50% from the field, 45% from three, and 90% from the free throw line. That season, he also made 402 threes in a single season, shattering his own record. To this day, no one's come close. The Warriors, they went 73-9. The best regular season record in NBA history, breaking the Chicago Bulls' 1995-1996 record of 72 wins. And Steph, he became the first unanimous MVP ever. Not even Michael Jordan did it. But the story didn't end there. He added another MVP to his collection in 2016-2017, solidifying his position as the face of the league. Curry had turned into a living legend. Then fast forward to the 2017-2018 season, when Curry's Warriors team was still the most dangerous in the league. Curry led Golden State to another championship, marking his third title in just 4 years. They beat the Cleveland Cavaliers in the finals, 4-0, making it the first ever NBA Finals sweep of LeBron James and the Cavs. In 2021, Curry had his most explosive season yet, averaging 32 points per game while leading the league in scoring. He also broke Ray Allen's all-time three-point record in December 2021. And by the time the 2022 season rolled around, Curry was back on top. Curry claimed his fourth championship, and even now, at 37 years old, Curry is still one of the most talented players in the NBA. His 4 championships, 2 MVPs, 8 All-Star appearances, and all NBA honors are just a few of the accolades he's collected. There's no doubt that he will go down as the greatest shooter of all time. Stephen Curry had changed the game. The NBA is no longer about who's the biggest, fastest, and most physical. It's about talent and being able to be a threat from anywhere on the court. In fact, kids all over the world started practicing their three-pointers instead of their dunks. I mean, you know you're a legend when people say your name after making a tough shot. And off the court, Curry caused Under Armour's basketball division to grow insanely fast. Every time Curry put out a shoe, it would fly off the shelves. Steph brought new life to Under Armour, with analysts estimating that one man brought in over $14 billion in brand value. Now, Under Armour is one of the most successful shoe brands in not just the US, but in the entire world. And while Under Armour sales were going nuclear, Nike was forced to watch it all unfold from the sidelines because they had missed out on the generational talent that was Steph Curry. And it was all because of this guy. But his story doesn't end there. The same man who missed out on Curry was about to make another big decision that would have a huge impact on another generational talent. Because in 2021, after spending years working with players, managing brand deals, and overseeing marketing strategies, Nico Harrison quit Nike. Now, he had a much bigger role, general manager of the Dallas Mavericks. But little did Mavs fans know that this was the guy who would destroy their franchise. To start, Harrison reached out to Casey Smith, the Mavericks' longtime director of health and performance, to set up a meeting. Smith had spent nearly 2 decades with the franchise. He was close with Dirk Nowitzki. He had Luka Doncic's trust. He'd seen the highs and lows of the Mavericks for years. The thing was, Smith was in his hometown of Ohio, sitting beside his gravely ill mother in what would be the final weeks of her life. So Smith told Harrison he couldn't meet in person because he was with his dying mother. No problem though. Harrison set up a video call instead. But on that call, Harrison fired Smith, with no hesitation, even as Smith was sitting by his mother's side in her final days. When asked about it later, Harrison brushed it off in a closed-door media session. He said, "You bringing up Casey is like almost, it's kind of a joke. Just cold." But this was just the beginning. Fast forward to February 1st, 2025. Just a year ago, Luka had taken the Mavs all the way to the NBA Finals, where they fell short to the Celtics. But this year was different. The Mavs were struggling and looking like they would be a low playoff seed. So Nico Harrison picked up the phone and made a call. Harrison had just traded away Luka Doncic along with teammates Maxi Kleber and Markieff Morris to the Lakers in exchange for Anthony Davis, Max Christie, and a 2029 first-round pick. Fans erupted. They loved Luka. In fact, Dallas even had a national Luka Doncic Day. Analysts were in shock.
Could you have ever imagined yourself trading Luka Doncic?
No.
It was so bad that people were mad at Commissioner Adam Silver because he didn't block the trade. But hey, no one could blame Harrison if it all worked out. Yeah, it was a disaster. Anthony Davis only appeared in 9 regular season games with the Mavericks after the Doncic trade due to an adductor injury, and the Mavs finished the season 39-43. And after losing to the Grizzlies in the play-in, the Mavs officially missed the playoffs. But to make matters worse, they no longer have a future. Their stars are old, with Kyrie being 33, Davis being 32, and Clay being 35. If only they had some young superstar that they could build around. Too bad Nico Harrison made sure that door slammed shut. And to make matters worse, he won't even admit to his mistake.
Why shouldn't you be fired?
Well, one, I think I've done a really good job here, and I don't think I can be judged by the injuries this year. You have to judge from totality, from beginning to end, and so I think I have a really good working relationship with Patrick. I think you add in Rick, the leadership that we have is really elite. And you'll see next year when our team comes back, we're going to be competing for a championship.
One man, two generational talents, two missed opportunities. If there was a Hall of Fame for bad decisions, he'd be a first ballot lock. And yet, he's still running the show in Dallas.